now that I have the microphone, can I steal a moment to can we give Joe a round of applause for doing such a good job at emceeing? I'm not even sorry for that. Like, you deserve the love. Hi, everybody. I'll be coming to you without a portable microphone today because this dress does not have pockets, and curly hair equals handheld microphone. This is the part where you say it's a very nice dress. Thank you. You're all so sweet. Hi, I'm super excited to talk to you today about untangling dependencies. I don't think I'm the only one who has felt the pain before, maybe? I see some not. Oh, I see a thumbs up. Gosh, I'm sorry. Let me tell you a story. I live in Vienna, in Austria, and up until September last year, I was a freelancer. And I was in the Vienna Freelancer Slack group when I saw this message. I have a client looking for a React Native dev. Remote, freelance, good rate, could end up being a retainer situation. Sorry, whenever I read this, I always read it to the audio from that song, like I'm looking for a man in finance, remote, freelance, good. Anyway, and so the stack of this app was React Native and Typescript. If you're not familiar, React Native is a framework that allows you to write mobile and I think web apps using JavaScript. So here's the thing about being a freelancer. I loved being a freelancer for the longest time because it gave me this weird thing called confidence to just be like, sure, I'll try out TypeScript, no problem. I was young. So, and the thing about this project is it hadn't been worked on for a very long time. And I'm going to give you an idea of how long that was. I tried running the app and it said, could not find iPhone 6 simulator. Now, I don't know if it's the same for the rest of y'all, but for me, I learned that the iPhone 6 did not, in fact, come out last year like I feel it did. But it's actually been longer between the iPhone 6 and now than the original iPhone and the iPhone 6. I feel old. Anyway, I tried running the Android build as well, and I don't know, something with Java didn't work. I don't know. And I'm just like, hey, I'll just upgrade it. I'll just pop into the package.json file and just make the numbers go up. So at the time when I was working on this, the React Native version of that application was 55.4, whereas the current one at the time was 74.1. That's almost 20 versions behind. So I popped into the package.json file and I made that number go from 55 to 74. Hold on to your seats. It didn't run. But that's okay. There was a React error, so I was like, cool, I'll just upgrade React. And then there was a React DOM error, so no problem. I'll just upgrade React DOM. And it kept going like this and this until it kind of started feeling like, okay, I want to see some hands. Does any of you have one of these at home? A cable box. Let's see some hands. This is amazing. I love you all so much. Don't let the haters deter you. You will someday need that Nokia 3310 charger. I promise. Thank you. But today I wanted to give it a different spin because like all of these tangled messes, they started feeling like a ball of yarn. Excuse my very crude drawing. I just scribbled. This drawing was not me, but the other one is. And it started feeling like this. So over the years, I learned a bunch of stuff that I want to learn, that I want to share with you today, which is what are the best practices for managing dependencies? And like, I don't know, I think it feels more fair to say, what are my favorite practices for managing dependencies? And in order to tell you a little bit about that, I'm going to do that cheesy little thing where I tell you about me. Hi, my name is Carmen, pronounce she, her. I'm originally from Chile. I've been living in Vienna for a very long time. I don't want to give away my age. And I just love tech communities. It's so wonderful to see you all here, and we're all thriving together and learning from each other. I've met so many of you over this last day, and just seeing the inspiration, some of you coming in who's here for the first time, for their first conference? Can I get some hands? That is a good amount. Welcome. Come talk to me after. Let's talk communities. And I just love teaching. I love sharing knowledge. And it's just something so important for me. And Here's the thing about dependencies. Although we're writing code, when we're using dependencies, we're also using other people's code. What a concept. And here's the thing. I don't know if you've ever opened your node modules folder. There's a lot in there. There's a lot in there. Did y'all know this meme? I love it. I know someone who made a game. Do y'all know the game Katamari Damacy by any chance? Cool. For those that don't, it is a PlayStation 2 game. Again, I'm not that old. Um, where you play as this little prince who's rolling a big ball, and that ball picks up other objects and gets bigger and bigger, right? And somebody made a game that did that with the size of node modules folders. It's super cool. And this can feel very fraught. You don't want to mess with things. You want that perfect balance of dependencies working together. And sometimes, I don't know about the rest of y'all, this can feel a lot like a game of Jenga. You move one piece wrong and then it all falls apart. But the thing about software is that it's a constantly evolving thing, especially as platforms and code standards evolve over time. So now I'm going to do that cheesy thing where I bring in a quote from a smart person. Art is never finished, only abandoned. I made so much effort to find out if it was actually Leonardo da Vinci that said this. Because, it's one of those things, it's like, quotes getting attributed to Mark Twain, and you're not really sure if he actually said that. But let's go with this for now. What I'm going to do for the next 25, 30 minutes is tell you about some of the things that I've learned over the years. And then I would also love to invite you to tell me some of your favorite techniques for managing your dependencies. And the first is understanding what dependencies are. Because sure, we think of them as a package of code written by another person who's probably a lot smarter than we are and just using it. Yeah, sure, I'll just install this thing, no problem. And if we look at a package.json file, we'll look at dependencies, we'll look at dev dependencies. And I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I spent a lot of time just kind of winging it. Just being like, well, I'm a developer, it's a dependency, I'll put it in dev dependencies. But it turns out there's a very important difference. And the most fundamental one is that dev dependencies don't get included in your production bundle. Mostly. There have actually been GitHub issues on large open source products that we have used, that we've all used, that accidentally were including dev dependencies in your production bundle. But that's the idea. And we like trust, don't we? Yeah, we trust each other. So those are called direct dependencies. But there's actually another type of dependency that we don't look at a lot unless we're opening that node modules folder. And those are called transitive dependencies. And as the image suggests, you open the box, the cat's going to climb in. And there can be a lot of them, and this can grow very quickly. But there's actually other types of dependencies as well, particularly in JavaScript projects. Have y'all heard of peer dependencies? I see some nodding happy heads. Very good. These are dependencies that our packages are compatible with. What does that mean? Let's say I have a package called Fancy Charts. And even though chart.js is not a dependency that we need to include, but we still need to mark it as a dependency, we say, well, chart.js is a peer dependency. So chart.js will be installed along with Fancy Charts. And there's one more place to look at for dependencies. So I have a question. Has any of y'all ever opened package.lock.json? Has any of y'all ever been happy opening package.lock.json? I want to get some hands for this. Has any of y'all ever tried resolving a merge conflict with package.lock.json? Look at this, look at this, look at this. I'm highlighting line 18,427. That's a lot of dependencies. So although we may not spend a lot of time here, I think it's really important to understand where things go when working with dependencies. But there's more to it. And alluding to what I was talking about before, we really need to take a step back and consider and be thankful for how much community work goes into making sure that these things don't fall apart. How many of y'all have had a vendor folder in your project? where you just dump zip files of dependencies. Can I get some hands? Do you miss those days? Me neither. And it turns out that there's really helpful tools out there for making sure that your dependencies can be managed well. For example, Yarn comes with the Upgrade Interactive tool. Has anybody used this before? A couple folks. Nice, nice. And there's also a public NPM check updates tool. And this is amazing because what it does is it analyzes your project and tells you which ones need patch upgrades, which ones need minor upgrades, which ones need major upgrades. How cool is that? I don't have to think. I don't like thinking. But there's more than that. If you work in React Native, who works here in React Native? Can I get some hands? Wow, that's a lot of us. Bunch of happy people. Love it. Have any of y'all heard of the React Native Upgrade Helper? This is amazing. And this is required by, this is kept up to date by the community to help you upgrade your React Native version. Because not only can you say like, okay, I want to go from 55 to 74, it gives you a diff of the configuration files so that you can upgrade safely. Well, mostly safely. But I just love how much love from the community goes into making sure that we can do this. But what happens when you're stuck? Has anybody gotten stuck writing software before? Okay, can all the liars put their hands up? Like, I'm kidding. I'm teasing. You know, has it ever happened to you that you try to run a project and you're like, could not resolve something React DOM, and I'm just like looking at this and I'm like, it's 6 p.m. Maybe I could go for another coffee. What I like to do in these situations is to really focus on breaking the problem down and laser focusing on that problem. So I'm like, okay, can't get this app to run. First thing I'm going to do is get the iOS build running. Just iOS. I'll worry about Android later. And so I break the problem down further. Divide and conquer. I'm going to adapt to auto-linking. Done. Fix the compiler errors. Done. Broken UI elements. Done. Fix bugs introduced by upgrading. Done. Fix compiler warnings. Mostly done. we try our best. And once that's done, shift my focus. Now it's just Android. Cool. Same thing. Check, done. Then I go back to iOS, some stuff is broken. Like, you do this until both versions are running well. And to me, it feels like a game. You know, trying to fix the things. Okay, I'm going to make myself feel really old. Please, has anyone heard of Greenhouse from Game & Watch? No, I need hands. I need to not feel alone, please. Ah, thank you. I'm not that old, by the way. Like, I played the Game Boy version. And what you're doing in this game is you're managing your garden and making sure the bugs, get it? Bugs, software bugs? Anyway, you're making sure that everything is running smoothly and you're laser focusing on one problem at a time. You stay focused. You don't get distracted. You don't get overwhelmed. I'm sure I'm not the only one who gets overwhelmed. But then there's tooling. Who here loves to argue about tooling? Oh, come on, don't be shy. There we go. Thank you. And I'm sure we've all been in that discussion. Oh, I prefer Yarn. Oh, you're weird because you like Yarn. And I like NPM. And I like PNPM. Oh, fun fact. I learned this for this presentation. The P in PNPM stands for performant. Who knew that? Wow, that's a lot of y'all. Y'all are much more curious than I am. I love it. And again, there's tools that we can use to help us manage our dependencies well. Again, provided by both communities and maintainers, like NPM why. This isn't as philosophical as it sounds. Why NPM? No, what it does is you can give it a dependency and just be like, hey, what is dequal? Dequal? I'm going with dequal. What is dequal and who's using it? And it gives you a list of which dependencies and subdependencies depend on that dependency. Try saying that 3 times. And there's other great tools to help you automate this. Have you all heard of NIP? Oh, yes, happy NIP users. Love it. Same thing. It just automatically looks for and tells you which dependencies you don't actually need. But what about monorepos? Any happy monorepo users in here? Yeah? I love the enthusiasm. So, monorepos, if you're not familiar, is several code bases sharing a single project. And the cool thing about them is that they can use common dependencies. And a lot of people use this. Who's heard of Yarn workspaces? Cool. Oh, y'all are so knowledgeable. I love it. It's the same thing. Separate code bases that share dependencies. So for example, Yarn actually uses Yarn workspaces. I love that. And what it does is it allows you to share things for your website, your package. If you have multiple packages, you can just do that. Anybody heard of an X? Love it, love it. Same thing, right? I mean, an X does a whole bunch of stuff, but the same thing. Smart monorepos for you. But what about when you want to share specific versions of dependencies? Has anybody ever used npm shrink wrap? Has anybody heard of npm shrink wrap? A couple of people. I get to introduce it. Yay. And what it does is that when you have dependencies that really need to share those package locks, or not package locks, it's kind of like a package lock for things like CLI tools. What you can do is publish it with a specific list of dependencies and their versions. Super handy. But what about when dependencies go out of date? Anybody use npm audit? I hope it wasn't stressful. What it lets you do is find out what a lot of maintainers do is they will say, hey, this version is out of date, or there's a word and I'm forgetting it. Vulnerability. Thank you. Yeah, there's a vulnerability and you can find out which dependencies have vulnerabilities, mostly patch versions for them. Super handy. But why do it yourself? There's tools that automate that for you, like Dependapod, Sneak, Renovate. Anybody use these? Cool, cool. I like those notifications on GitHub too. But next, let's talk about leaps. Who doesn't love a big leap? Because for me, what I could have done was upgrade from React Native 55 to 59, because there were some big changes there. Something about Java, I don't know, but important. Or I could have upgraded from 55 to 60, which, if you're familiar, now auto links native modules. Well, now, this was like a while ago. And same thing, allows you to not have to open Xcode. Yay! Anyway, but I went from 55 all the way to 74. And this was a decision that I made in order to make my life easier. And the question isn't so much why, but why not? And the reason is, of course, stability, making sure, like, the thing about writing mobile apps with React Native is that you're dependent on 3 entities: React itself, Apple, and Google. And they have very different opinions on how to do things. So it's really good to stay up to date. And most importantly, whether we like it or not, we're going to have to do it eventually. I'm going to bring in a quote from a person much smarter than I, Martin Fowler, who says, if it hurts, do it more often. And I think this is really relevant because we have to do it eventually. And in order to avoid the pain of going from 55 to 74, having these incremental upgrades is really important. Next, let's talk about Git. I love Git. There's one technique that I love to do in my version control, which are bleeding edge branches. Has anybody heard of bleeding edge branches? Nobody? Oh, I get to introduce it. And this is from the official Git book, eh? So what a bleeding edge branch is, essentially, is a scratch pad, a mess. Just throwing in tiny commits, making sure there's so many like tiny broken commits. But the good thing about it is that you keep a track of what you're doing. It's easy to rebase. Who doesn't love rebasing? I'm not even being sarcastic. I love rebasing. And I think it's really important to just have a space where you can work and get something running. But when you're upgrading, you also need to know, especially when you have a lot of dependencies, you need to know where to stop. This project I was working on was 72 packages big. Probably doesn't sound like a lot, but think of that node modules folder again. I didn't upgrade them all. I made some minor upgrades. If you're familiar with semantic versioning, patches are bug fixes, minor upgrades are new features, and major versions are API breaking. And here's the thing, I'm on a deadline too. I bet a lot of us are. Does anybody just get to code freely all the time, just doing fun stuff? Same. And here's the thing, just because I don't do it now doesn't mean I'm never going to do it. I'm going to have to do it eventually. And the last thing I want to tell you about today, we're almost at the end, and then it's lunchtime, is knowing what needs to be let go. Who here has encountered a dependency that is no longer maintained? Especially with React Native, like, gosh, things move so quickly. And I think it's really important to like bear in mind of like what needs to go, what there are new versions of, and that's what communities are important for. So I really recommend keeping in touch with the community, finding out what works, doing your own contributions and that sort of thing. But that's another presentation. So yeah, that's 8 things that I've learned over the years. Once again, I'd love to hear from you. Maybe come catch me during lunch. And let's go over it one more time. Understanding what dependencies are, understanding that you're part of a community, understanding that sometimes we need to untangle ourselves and just focus on one problem at the time, understanding our tooling, understanding how big a leap to make, understanding good techniques for version control, understanding where to experiment, how big a leap, which upgrades to make, and also when to stop and what to let go. And the thing is, we've all been there before, and we're going to be there again. So am I done? Not with the talk. Am I done with this project? Absolutely not. So now I'm going to do that cool thing where I bring back the quote from the beginning and give it a little spin. I like to think that if Leonardo da Vinci were alive today and developing software because he's a software dev, he would say software is never finished, only abandoned. Oh, thank you. You have all been extremely kind. Thank you so much for listening to me today. Here's some resources. I'll share them on socials as well. If you want to link to my slides, it's carmenh.dev/dependency-management.pdf. Please contact me. And I don't know, it was such a joy to talk to you and come down to. Sorry, my slide. I don't know what's going on here. My slides are. Oh right, sorry. I do need to tell you. I've been talking a lot about knitting and yarn and all that stuff, and I need to confess I've never actually done any knitting before. But I'm going to learn crocheting soon, and I do a lot of cross stitching, so I think it kind of counts. Anyway, thank you and enjoy lunch.